Hello, everyone. I want to start with this. CNN, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me right now? Stop saying Washington. Let's break this down. It gets worse when you get into the article after this ridiculous headline. U.S. President Donald Trump's policy on Ukraine is a little scattered and meandering and at times misinformed, but be in no doubt that it exists. Really? The guy said that Zelensky should have made a deal with Putin day one of the war and not resisted. There are other things that Trump also said, which I will refer to in this article, in this today's report, that are equally absurd. And you're going to tell me his policy on Ukraine is a little bit misinformed. But let's all drop to our knees and thank the Lord that it exists. CNN, you used to be at least somewhat respectable news channel. What the fuck is happening to you? So, let's break this down. So we have this. We have Putin basically parroting Trump, saying, oh yeah, I would have never invaded Ukraine if Trump was in the office. You know why? Actually, he would have invaded Ukraine. And then Trump would have handed him Ukraine on a silver platter by providing no aid to Ukraine. And it would be likely overrun by now. Completely. Not just the 4 regions. That's what would have happened. Even Zelensky, who is far from the greatest politician in the world, is right on this. He's basically pointing out that Putin is just trying to manipulate Trump to his advantage. Because the only fucking person Putin cares is Putin. Just like Trump. The only person Trump cares about is Trump. So, that's what is happening. So, of course, Putin is going to say, oh, Trump is such a great leader. Of course, he's going to say, oh, we're ready to negotiate. But make no mistake. The only thing Putin is ready for is not a negotiation, but basically to tell Trump what he wants. It's not going to be a negotiation. It's not going to be a discussion. It's not going to be an exploration of what's reasonable. No. What's going to happen is that they're going to sit down in person or on the phone and basically say, Putin's going to tell him, this is what I want. And if you give me that, this is what I will give you. That is what it's going to be like. Not surprisingly, Trump also continues to blame everybody but the direct perpetrator for what's going on. Because he's saying that the war would end immediately if Saudi Arabia and OPEC lowered the price of oil. What? What does oil have to do with this? Oil has nothing to do with the war. This war is not a war over oil. This war is over territory and political influence and pressure and expansion. What the fuck does OPEC have to do with any of that? It's just unbelievable. Every time you think the guy could not be less informed about this whole situation, he shows that, yeah, he can. Trump's Secretary of State Marco Rubio suspended all financial aid except Israel and Egypt, which is interesting because Egypt actually does not support Israel. So I find it kind of fascinating, like, why those two? Anyway, and all I can say is I told you so. I told you this was going to happen. I told you it was going to affect everybody. There you go. Happy? And North Korea says it's going to send more cannon fodder to Russia because the bunch they already sent is like 40% out of commission now. So once again, they continue to demonstrate the disregard for human life to match their BFF. Meanwhile, not surprisingly, Russia continues pounding Ukrainian civilians. There was an aerial attack against Kiev during which 3 people were killed and more were wounded. There were bits of a shot-down drone that fell onto a 10-story residential building, which Russians no doubt will claim was NATO headquarters or something like that. Meanwhile, Ukraine had staged another huge campaign of over 120 drones to target military objects inside 13 Russian regions. The objects in question include an oil refinery and a microchipped factory. So, once again, as I mentioned before, this is where social media is our friend, okay? Because Russia can try and downplay the impact of these targeted attacks all they want. However, people on the ground, basically ordinary, regular Russian folk who are living in those areas, immediately film the attacks. And hundreds of videos instantly appear all over social media with commentary. The commentary usually mostly includes cuss words. If you want to learn how to cuss in Russia, this is a great opportunity to learn, because it's all basically just a stream of profanities. But the point is, you can't downplay it because you see the giant balls of fire and you hear the sound of explosions and you see the ground shake. So they can't downplay it. You can't erase every one of those videos and pretend like nothing happened. Slovakia is taking a dim view of its government trying to, make friends with Russia because it's costing them gas. So tens of thousands of protesters showed up in the city of Bratislava, Slovakian capital, to oppose Prime Minister Robert Fico, whose policy shift is steadily moving Slovakia toward Russia. Apparently, they're not so happy about it. You know why? Because they have been paying attention. And there's now so many examples of how being Russia's friend ultimately doesn't work out so well. And I'm kind of wondering also, if they're watching news about North Koreans and they're like, you know what? I don't want to be next. I don't want to be the next one sent over as cannon fodder to help our BFF Russia. There has been also an increase of U.S. military equipment sales to foreign governments. So that, I wonder how that's going to go. On one hand, it's a huge source of revenue. Military anything is expensive. On the other hand, there is a question of who gets it, where, how, and why. And all of those questions will need to be asked. So we'll see. Look at the number there. Over $300 billion we're talking. That's a big paycheck. So again, the question is who gets the goods? Who gets that military equipment? Combined with the discontinued foreign aid, this is going to be a big question of how U.S. conducts itself in the international arena. More to come.